Hannah.
And I'm Addi, and we're the hosts of the podcast, His Will, Your Life.
Our podcast aims to share Christian perspective on the issues facing our world today.
Today's episode will be talking about Thanksgiving. So, most people, if you're American, you know what Thanksgiving is. But if not, I'm going to give you a very brief history from history.com. So to quote it, it says, Thanksgiving Day is a national holiday in the United States, and Thanksgiving 2021, this year, it occurred on Thursday, November 25th. In 1621, the Plymouth colonists and the Wampanoag shared an autumn harvest feast that is acknowledged today as one of the first Thanksgiving celebrations in the colonies. For more than 2 centuries, days of Thanksgiving were celebrated by individual colonies and states. It wasn't until 1863, in the midst of the Civil War, that President Abraham Lincoln proclaimed the National Thanksgiving Day to be held each November. So that's the history of Thanksgiving, very brief. If you want a more in-depth version, you can go read that history.com article. It's literally titled Thanksgiving 2021. It's pretty easy to find. But that's Thanksgiving. It's an American holiday, basically, where you get to pig out and it's okay. The best way to describe it now. But really, it's supposed to be that you're thankful for everything that you have, and you're like going around and sharing that.
Yeah, I think I was in 6th grade, and it was a group project, and we did a play on the history of Thanksgiving, and it wasn't very good, but I learned a lot. I think it really has become just, for a lot of people, a day to eat a lot, and a lot of people forget that it's literally a day for giving thanks, and you don't necessarily even have to eat a lot.
No, you don't, but let's face it, it's Thanksgiving. Everybody's going to want to eat a lot.
It's a great excuse.
Yeah, it's an excuse. It's a literal excuse to just say, oh, it was Thanksgiving, so I gained 10 pounds. That's okay. It's acceptable. And, we should keep that, but we should also, I think, bring back a little more of the thanking for everything we have. Because if you think about it, I don't know where I saw this quote, but it was somewhere on Instagram or Pinterest, and it said, imagine if everything you didn't thank God for went away the next day. So, if everything you hadn't thanked God for the night before wasn't there the next day, would most of your life not be there? And that changed a lot of prayer for me. I don't know about other people, but now I thank God for every minuscule thing in my life. And I'm like, so if that does happen, I'm not going to lose a lot because I'm thankful for everything I have.
Yeah, and it's definitely, you overlook a lot of things, especially I feel like in America, we have so much stuff that, we don't even need, and we still take it for granted. And then, I'm in California, and they have these things called rolling blackouts. You take power for granted until it turns off and you don't have your air conditioning anymore. You have to think about the little things too, not just the big things like your house and your family, all the little things that are so important too.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the times you don't really appreciate that until you lose it, unfortunately. And, if you just think about it, what if you lost all your health one day? That would change your whole life. So I think it's very important to not only on Thanksgiving, but every single day, be grateful for what you have and thankful and thank God for that, because that's the only reason it's there, is because God allowed you to have that. Yeah, so now that we got all the religious stuff out of the way, we'll be talking about our Thanksgivings. So Hannah, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so my Thanksgivings have pretty much been exactly the same since my first one. When I lived in Alabama, we would go over to my grandparents' house. We'd cook all morning, eat lunch, just to spend a bunch of time together, be thankful for each other. Now that I don't live down there anymore, I don't really get to see my family. We didn't see anybody this year. My aunt and uncle came out last year. They were in the area, so we ate with them. But it's still the same thing. I just stay home, help my mom cook in the morning. I know a lot of people do Thanksgiving dinner. We do Thanksgiving lunch, and then just kind of pass out for the rest of the day, typically. So basically all I do is spend time with my family, eat, and we always do go around the table and say what we're thankful for. And just spend time together, because I feel like your family gets overlooked too, especially now that I'm getting ready to move away. I'm not going to be here all the time anymore, to spend as much time with my family as I can.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. You don't think about that a lot of the time. Yeah, so like Hannah, my Thanksgivings have pretty much been the same since I was very little. I don't remember anything past 7 years old when we moved into the current house we live in. But it's mostly just comprised of my dad cooking the food early in the morning, usually like a turkey and a lamb. And we boycott the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in this household because it's just not as good as it used to be in the 80s and 90s, I feel. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that.
I agree that it's not as good. We still watch it. I actually paid $5 for premium Peacock so we could watch it this year. But I will agree that it is nowhere near as good as it used to be. Even, not even going back that far, even like 2010 to 2015, it was still decent.
Yeah.
Even this year, you didn't miss anything this year.
Yeah, I mean, my drawing line was "The Joy to the World" was sung by the Native Americans. And I'm not trying to be racist. I'm not. It's just there are so many traditional Native American songs that would have been beautiful to hear, and they chose "Joy to the World." And I was like, come on, I want to hear something that's very native and ethnic and beautiful, and I got "Joy to the World."
Yeah, and like it used to be a lot about the floats, and it's really not
Yeah.
anymore. Like this year they had, I think, like 5 different Broadway shows, Broadway cast perform.
Yeah.
Not on a float or anything. And then they'd show the float for like 30 seconds each. It was just,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's less about the floats and more about, like, you know how they have the two newscasters usually doing it now? I feel like there's more of that than you even see of the floats, which was where my big drawing line came in as well. I was like, first of all, Native Americans sing "Joy to the World." Second of all, the newscasters constantly bantering. And I'm sorry, but I cannot stand Hoda Kotb and Savannah Guthrie at all. And I think they did it this year. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't torture myself like that.
they actually didn't show them as much this year. Like you
Thank
could hear
God.
them talking, but they didn't show them on screen much. They showed Al Roker more.
Yeah, I like Al Roker. I can stand Al Roker. Actually, we boycott the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and I sleep in till like 10 o'clock. And I watch my parents cook Thanksgiving dinner while setting up the table. And usually in years of past, we've watched the Titanic loop that they have. I don't know if it's on a Freeform or some other channel, but there's one channel that every Thanksgiving they just loop Titanic over and over again. And my dad insists on having it on every year except for this year. So that was the Thanksgiving blessing. And we usually eat around 3 to 4 and then just die the rest of the night. So that was how my Thanksgiving was. It was the same as normal, except instead of watching Titanic, we watched my favorite movie, What About Bob and The Proposal. Great movies, by the way. Definitely watch them.
They're very good movies. If you haven't seen them, you should watch them.
So we currently have our first competition of the holiday season going on. It's called our Thanksgiving Craze Competition. We want to hear your craziest Thanksgiving stories. Anything from grandma having her appendix burst to the turkey falling off the table. We want to hear about it, and we're going to judge them and choose the funniest and best one. And we'll send that person a prize. We would appreciate if it were in the U.S., but if it's not, we'll figure something out. And just submit for that. We have a reel up on our Instagram, his_will_your_life, explaining the contest in more detail. And yeah, submit for it because we'll be choosing a winner on December 1st, 2021. All right. Thank you very much for joining us today as we discuss Thanksgiving.
And keep tuned because season 2 of His Will Your Life Christmas Cheer will be starting, and we have lots of fun stuff planned.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff planned for season 2, which is only going to be December. So it will be a shorter season, but you'll have the same amount of episodes and a lot of fun content to hear about. We send our thoughts and prayers out to all of you. And remember to press that like and subscribe button. And we will see you next time on His Will, Your Life.
They showed Al Roker more.
Yeah, I like Al Roker. I can stand Al Roker.
I love him. He has written Hallmark movies and stuff, and I love him. We can cut this out.
He's a talented individual.
We can cut this out, but he called Biden. Like, that was one of the segments. He got a phone call from Biden. And I muted it because I was just like, I can't listen to this.
That's funny. That's funny. We're keeping that in there.